Hello. So, I just attended my first Catholic Mass. I did go early for what said benediction was. I had no idea what it was, but it was before Mass, so I went early for that. And really just the priest said some things in Latin, and then we sat there with nothing but 45 minutes of silence. So if I go again, I probably will skip that part until I know what, like, are you supposed to be praying something specific or meditating on the prayers, or just God and stuff. I live in a not tiny town, but I live in Missouri, but I'm up towards Iowa. And there's like many small towns, like isolated. And so in this part of the world, most people are, if they're going to church, they're going to the First Baptist or the First Christian Church, that are huge and it's just not my style. Too many people, kids. Yeah, I've never enjoyed children. Never had any, never wanted any in my entire life. I can't say I have zero maternal instincts, but because I do feel maternal towards my dogs and pets, though. Anyway, the priest, because I had called ahead of time, he didn't outright say no to my service dog, but I got the impression that he was, maybe he'd had seen dogs that said service dogs, but they didn't behave properly or something, because he did say something about, defecating in the aisles or something, which my service dog is a task trained, legit service dog that is well behaved. Not just well behaved, but does what service dogs do, like legit, like many hours of training. And but he's 13 now, and I started to question it myself, because he has had a couple lapses. And my 17-month-old she's about finished with her basics training. Right now we're primarily focused on exposing her to everything. So in a way, Finnegan still works with me very well in stores, at home, but I'm starting to phase him out. He's not happy with it. Anyway, I thought, maybe if he waited for me in the car, and I would feel better, because I don't know. If you have social anxiety, you'll know what I'm talking about. And social anxiety can exist with autism, which is my case, or just by itself. And a big part of it is anticipatory anxiety. You are envisioning worst, possible scenarios. And so for 3 days going up to this weekday mass that I'm not entirely sure what to expect. I was so anxious, my stomach was so tight, I thought I was going to vomit for 3 days straight ahead of time. And it was like, no big deal. This happens to me all the time. Every once in a while, it is bad. And I had reason to be anxious because it actually was bad. Like when I tried to do my dog training in a group, and I had to talk, I can talk to a one-on-one person one-on-one about their dog and things like that, but and I didn't have as much interest as needed anyway for a group, so I'm not doing those. But the anticipatory is just, I wasn't really even envisioning bad things happening. It's more like you're afraid of how you're anxious that you're going to be anxious and that you're going to look awkward or be seem in a bad light, and I have a reason to worry about that because part of my autism is that, in fact, the biggest part is that I don't display facial expressions that reflect what I'm feeling. And so people often mistake me for being bored, rude, depressed, when in fact I'm actually enjoying myself, but my face doesn't work to show that. And so I'm like, and it kind of makes people not want to talk to me. And I'm fine with people not talking to me. I would like people to talk to me, but just like surface stuff. But I'm not looking for best friends or anything. But I don't want anyone to think I'm rude, which has happened all my life, or depressed, or sedated, but I was sedated. I did take some Xanax ahead of time. And so Mass was short, and what's interesting in my community, there's so few Catholics that other little towns in the vicinity are merging with other parishes, and I was told that, in this community, in this area where I live, we do have a lot of people that only speak Spanish, and they're primarily the ones that are going to Catholic Mass, and the priest speaks in Spanish, and he does English and Spanish and Latin, and so there was 4 people there that were of the Spanish speaking, and I'm saying that because I don't know where they're from. They might be from Mexico, they might be, I don't know, but and then there were these other 2 people, an older woman and someone looked like in her 40s, and me. And I sat in back and stood and sat whenever I was, anybody else did. Obviously I didn't, take communion or anything, because you need to go through the process of becoming Catholic. I'm going to be going to a Lutheran church, which is where I was actually baptized as an infant, in the Lutheran faith. My grandparents were Lutheran. They're deceased now. My mom, see, that's the catch. This is so weird. My mom is a staunch atheist, like extreme. And she, especially when it comes to organized religion. And see, I have always had a quest for God, younger than most people. My grandmother played the piano for weddings at different churches, but if there was Sunday school activities going on at the church, she would let me go do that while she played the organ. And I really enjoyed it. And one day they made tie-dye shirts, white with blue tie-dye, and then they put the words Jesus loves me, I think, or God loves me. And so it was like the sky, the heaven colors. And I loved that shirt. That shirt meant so much to me, and it's all I wanted to wear. And my mom hated that shirt. She hated it. And I could tell she did not like that I was so much into this shirt. And through my childhood, I begged my mom to take me to church. I wanted to go to church. No one ever taught me about God, Jesus, and the whole thing. I just knew it was something that was important to me and I wanted to do, and the only way I could do it is through my parents. And she's an atheist, so when I was in my teens, there was a Lutheran church that was just down the street, so I had a job, so I bought some nicer clothes, and I started going there, and I even started catechism classes with the pastor. I don't remember what he was called, though. But the people in the church were well-dressed, and I mean, like, they had money, and they asked me too many questions. They were just like too intrusive, and I sensed judgment, judgy. I didn't sense open arms, kind of feeling. So I stopped going there, and then when I was in at nursing school in my 20s, early 20s, I made friends with someone and started hanging out with her, and she had lived with a group of friends, and they all belonged to this like Church of Christ or some generic type thing, and they were like super open arms, and at first it felt really good, like these people like me, they want me around. But then I started to get a vibe, because later they're telling me the rules. You only date within the church, and you have to get it okay by this guy who's supposed to be the head of the church. And then I started going, this is a cult. Because like I would stay over there at their house, and they'd wake up in the middle of the night and do prayer stuff and other things that I knew had to do with brainwashing for cults. So I abruptly left that scene. And then I'd always wanted to go, but I always felt like my mom wouldn't like me anymore. And it turns out that was totally untrue. I texted to her that I was going to be checking out churches, and she's like, yeah, okay, no big deal. Can I ask which ones you're going to be checking out? And we had a conversation like it was no big deal. And I said to her, it's not going to change me. It's, the person I've always been. I've been practicing, and it's sad because I've been practicing. I had all my life mostly been walking around saying I was agnostic. I thought that was a medium, a place that my mom would feel comfortable with me. And I wasn't entirely saying I'm Christian. So, when I went out to Michigan to meet my biological father and the family there, they're Christian. They're actively Christian, missions and stuff. But they don't try to, get you to come to their side. But I saw how it affected their lives, and what the decisions they made and things like that. And I wanted that. I am negative. I am so negative, and I have always tried how I want to be one of those people that think, like, if somebody's late, I think negative things instead of, oh, I hope they're okay. And anyway, from them, I started practicing Christianity, like reading the Bible and stuff, in my in secret. They gifted me a Bible, and someone else, anyway, so I was like in secret praying and reading the Bible until this past week I decided I am 53 going on 54, and I know I don't look it. My mom is in her 70s now. I need to branch out a little bit. I have autism. I like to stay in my safe place, but I know what is good for me is, I'm already having to help my mom do things. So there's going to come a time when she's not going to be able to help me. And so I'm looking for a place to go for divine support, as well as maybe, support from a congregation or something. I may, my family, we're not close. I'm closer with my biological family than I am the family I grew up with. And I imagine that if things fell apart somehow, I'd probably move out to where my biological family lives. But, if you're in a church community and you're not doing well, sometimes people come and check in on you. And I'm going to need that. And I've tried other things to, I went to book club, yoga, you know, and it's just not the same. It's not like a second family. But primarily I want, like what I'm saying, divine support is, it just makes me feel good. And here's the thing, one of the things that there's two reasons why Catholicism fits with me is because of the rituals and the rules and the, you know, all of that. People with autism generally like routine and rules and structure. But also part of, like, when you say the rosary, you're asking the Virgin Mary to pray for you or pray for something. And that kind of sits with me warmer. It makes me warm. Than just the male aspect. You know, because I envision God and Jesus as male, and it always made me feel a little kind of cool, like cold. And you throw Mary into the mix and it kind of makes me feel warmer. Perhaps we're talking about my mother being an atheist can feel a little cold, whereas I don't. So, yeah, I'm going to also be trying Episcopalian. They're pretty open on, like, same-sex marriages and LGBT whatever. So, Lutheran, Episcopalian, and Catholic is what I'm trying out. And so that's the story. Bye.